had an influence on my work. When I'm working in the Bahamas, I notice a major change in color and lightness. I think it lightens my whole kind of attitude about painting. What I'm doing is looking at the shapes. With your hand, you can block out shapes. What I'm seeing here is my eye being trapped in this circle, which I want to try to change. And I think it might have to do with this, because this brings your eye up this way. And this line tends to bring your eye up to nowhere. And so I feel that is one thing that I need to change. Now, where's that brush? Shape, create form on a canvas. There we are. The teacher in New York, Rosalind Brown, turned me around a lot in terms of my painting and learning a lot more about building a painting through form. The way she taught was fascinating. She would have two projectors going, and she would say, take a Manet and project it, and then with another projector with the same slide and project that out of focus, so you couldn't see any realistic shapes, and show how effective and how abstract the painting was. I had an interesting thing happen down there once with a young guy who used to go by my studio, and he couldn't figure out why I did this. He said, well, what are you doing? You don't see anything here. And I said, you see a painting, right? He said, yeah. These are paintings? And I said, what kind of music do you like? He said, well, I like rap. And I said, well, what do you hear here? It's some kind of classical stuff. And I said, yeah, I like classical stuff, but there are no words. There's just music. My work is not unlike music in terms of its form and structure. And it has to have form and structure, as any good piece of music does. So he got it. It was very interesting that he related. You could see it. I love the flowers, but got so much trouble with them here that we got to rely on other things. Native, especially. It was not easy to get started there with a garden, so I realized I had to work with native plants, and also major problems with, we're right on the sea, right on the ocean, and so it's a major factor. But it's wonderful working, with palm trees, various plants that tolerate the salt and are more indigenous to the area. The garden's a great motivator because it's there's always something to do in the garden, and I just love doing it. And the same thing in my studio. It's just always another painting to paint. It's a little weak somehow. I mean, it needs a little more strength, and probably a stronger dark. I can see where it could be, and I'll try that. I think that's all it needs, really. Small areas or detailed parts of the painting, I think, have to work by themselves. Take that section in there. Right, I could see that working alone, but it has to work with us as well. But I can all, even like the white farm, if that works. But it's also working with the rest of it. I'm just looking at this as we speak. I don't strong vertical at the bottom that could be short. And that's sometimes I do that with paper. Let me try that. When you're dealing with a painting with verticals and horizontals, okay? Maintaining negative and positive space within that shape, a diagonal suggests distance, like a road, something going off suggests depth and distance. So it's helpful to counter that with either a vertical or a horizontal. Okay, and that keeps the painting flat, and it maintains the surface of the canvas. So you think that in those terms, not three-dimensionally, but two-dimensionally. I like it better. I was right before. Essentially, kept working on that painting I worked on a long time. That guy took very little additional work. I mean, I think I did that 2 days. Yeah, it was the lay-in, and it worked. And I liked the shapes. And I liked the softness of the edges. And then I added the color, some of it, and the darks in some places, just to give it a little more structure. But that was it. I left it. Understanding painting has to do with what you know and what you feel about what you're looking at. And I've had a lot of people react totally differently. I usually start left to right, and I just start working with shapes and just let it flow through. The canvases were right next to each other when I started. You can see where this one from there goes right from this white line.
Do you work on complete one at a time, or do you?
Actually, when I started with this whole group.
Treat them as a group.
I treat it as a group, as a triptych, and then I go back to try to improve each one as an individual painting. And that's what happens with the stronger colors. Blackcomb is definitely home for me. And for years developed the garden, and I've always had a fascination for it, for plants, and it's very satisfying. And it is also a form of art for me. I mean, you have to, put things together in a garden, not unlike you do in painting, with textures, color, form. So it's very related. And it just enables me to do the things I've always wanted to do in life, paint and garden. I think the painting comes first, hopefully. I've had people ask me this in the past, have you been an artist all your life? And I say, yes, essentially. I don't think it's any different than the need I had as a teenager to go out and do watercolors. Okay, I just felt like I had to do that. I had to paint in one form or another. And I never lost that.